and welcome back to the FuturePrint virtual conference. I'm Karis Kopp. We have another fantastic session for you. The future is sustainable and PVC free, which I'm sure is a message and a vision for the future that we can all get behind. And we're lucky to be joined by Nova Abbott, Head of Marketing at Taya, who is joining us from Tainan in Taiwan today. And we have Hi, Nova. And we have Mark as well, Mark Chen, who is Taya's research analyst, who joins us also from Taiwan, but Mark is based in Yilan, I believe. Thank you both for being with us today.
Thank you, Karis.
Thank you for having us. Yeah.
Of course. And I think the name of the session, you know, the future is sustainable and PVC free. You know, it's important to remember why this is so crucial. So I think it would be good to start maybe on a personal note. So Nova, if we start with you, what does that vision of a sustainable future mean to you?
I'm a mum, and I'm looking at the future of my 3-year-old daughter, and it's not looking too good at the moment. We're already witnessing the physical effects of humanity's destruction of the planet and its implication this is having on the humanity as a whole. So the thought of having my 3-year-old daughter having to go through peak years through the period of massive instability and to deal with the increases in pollutions and climate change, and worst off, she might very likely to having to fight over shrinking resources and the land just for her survival because of the climate change. All of those makes me really uncomfortable. And it also makes me very determined personally to do as much as possible, as much as I can to ensure that my daughter has a good future and that she really deserves. So if I can convince as many people as possible along the way to change their outlook and mindset, then perhaps we all stand a good chance to preserve all our children's future. So for me, Neverland is part of the journey to clean up our industry. And for me, it's more of a sustainable future means the entire industry to go PVC free. Even if it's not using Neverland, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. We just need to do things now and make sure that the whole industry to go PVC free as soon as possible.
Fantastic. And yeah, it's so important to remember, you know, we're making these sustainable choices for future generations. So it's great to hear that message. And you talked about going PVC free. So, you know, let's talk about Neverland for viewers that might not be familiar with the product. Maybe we could talk a little bit about Neverland and what its kind of unique value proposition is.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yes. And the Neverland brand name is an old name taken from Yilan, where Mark is right now. It's also the birthplace of Taya groups. The name Neverland was selected due to the spirit that this name represents, because it's also the original name of one of the 16 Aboriginal tribes and the last to survive and to be signified in Taiwan as well. It symbolizes the spirits that we all need in the fight against the climate change. And Neverland is unique, not just in what we set out to do, but also the product's performance, non-toxic credentials, and the eco-friendly film makes it a natural evolution alternative to single-use PVC banner in the large format industry. Neverland is up to 50% lighter compared to the traditional PVC banner. It's stronger. It also has a longer shelf life than PVC banner. It looks and feels like PVC banner. It wears like PVC banner and has a superb print finish as well, but it has none of PVC's nasty effects on the environment. So if I can elaborate a bit more, the key is actually in the PVC-free film. It's water-based and mixture of a organic polyacrylic acids and its other organic additives is the key. The soluble nature of the polyacrylic acid makes it ideal for the use in a cosmetic and food packaging industry. Likewise, the Neverland film exhibits the same soluble characteristics during its disposal, making it very safe to incinerate for the waste-to-energy scheme, to recycle, or to put into landfill simply. Neverland doesn't produce any dioxins or furans through its entire life, including its disposal. So I can tell you much more, but I'm not going to. Just Don't take my word for it. Just take a look at the endorsement videos and some of these comments on social media that made from some of the industry's leading large format printers and the welding manufacturers as well. They tested and vouched for Coverland, and I couldn't be more proud of.
Fantastic. And yeah, absolutely. It's a really incredible product, and incredible features that you've listed. But just thinking about PVC, there are PVC materials on the market that say they're more eco-friendly than perhaps traditional PVC. They say they're recyclable. But what's the real problem and the real impact of PVC banner?
Do you know, Karis, the main killers are actually the dioxins and furans in PVC. Dioxins and furans are very toxic and they can hang around for decades. They are the major cause of pulmonary-related cancers like lung cancers and some of the leading causes of infertility and infant development problems as well. A lot of people seem to believe that toxins like dioxins and furans can just be destroyed or somehow magically transform into harmless compounds. But this is simply not the case. No magic wand can make it happen. The fact is that the dioxins in PVC, in one form or another, will eventually leak into the local environment. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next year, but it will happen. Environmental controls, recycling, recovery, and biosolutions may just give us a very temporary and short-term fix. The truth is that the banner industry doesn't have a lot of choices of recycling infrastructures because of its comparatively low usage. Say, if we were comparing to plastic water bottles or cables, which have curbside schemes everywhere. PVC banner recycling is not the case. But previous PVC banner recycling schemes have failed and also had, because they have a high gate cost, and without subsidies, it's just simply not financially viable. The fact is that there's no commercially available method to recover the original PVC, just the fabrics. Fabrics, yes, they can be recovered, but not PVC. Even so-called recycled or recovered PVC, they were eventually ended up in the ground.
Wow. And, given all that, and given that it's 2021, we're all a bit more aware of our impact on the planet. Why is PVC still used so widely in large format print?
There are many reasons. The first one I can think of is because it's very cheap and it has a good printing qualities. And I think the most important reason would be it has the benefit of being part of the worldwide monopoly. When I said worldwide monopoly, I meant it's very similar to what we have already seen and was already uncovered in the documentaries of National Geographic or Discovery channels, really. When topics in the fossil fuels or the food industries were mentioned, there were established infrastructures and processes wanted to ensure that the continued use of the products, even though it is proven that it's inherently unsafe, unhealthy, or a danger to the environment. Despite safer, healthier, and eco-friendly alternatives are there, the industry ensures that its monopoly will be there by using its wealth and power to diminish or quash any potential threats, through the use of media, political connections, or so-called educated experts, because it's easy. They don't have to do anything, and doing nothing is easy. I think we just got to be very careful and very mindful with the information that we take in, just to avoid that we are manipulated by those monopolized systems, really.
Wow. And is, the producers of the PVC banner, are they, complicit, or is it possible that perhaps not everyone is aware in this industry just how bad PVC banner is for the environment?
Do you know what? I'm sure most of the industry is aware that PVC film is toxic. It's just they are not fully aware just how toxic it is, or they have been influenced by the industry's experts, convincing them that PVC is not really that bad. My response to this is, if PVC is really not that bad, why does the waste management industry in Europe and in North America are spending tens of billions of dollars and euros a year trying to clean them up? Or why is the children's toys industry are so keen on promoting the PVC-free toys? These are just a couple of the very simple questions that I think we need to ask ourselves and not rely on the monopolized industry to make our decisions for us.
Yeah. And to go back to Kavalan, sometimes there's that association, or traditionally there might have been an association that if you're making a sustainable choice, it's a choice between the more sustainable product and the higher quality product. How does Kavalan's offering kind of compare performance-wise to traditional PVC?
That's a very good question, Caris. Let's take the example of electric vehicles. Yeah. 20 years ago, they looked like just some weird bubble cars with very little resemblance to their gasoline equivalents. They were uncomfortable, impractical, and it didn't exhibit anything like an exceptional performance. Now we have Tesla, and in Taiwan here we have Gogoro electric scooters, and many other products which are very high quality and have all the accessories and performance to their gasoline equivalents now. So I would like to use this example because after a decade of research and development, we are now demonstrating the same changes in Kavalan. We made the buyer's choice a decision really a lot easier because when they choose Kavalan, it means they're choosing a high quality, sustainable product. That's how I would put it, analogy-wise, really.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's great to have that idea. We're all familiar with, how far electric vehicles have come. So it's great that we're moving forward and we're able to make those sustainable choices without compromising on quality. And thinking about those eco credentials of Kavalan's, maybe we could talk a little bit about how it's backed up, how it's assessed.
Yes, of course. Well, as part of our commitment to the ISO 14000 series of environmental management practices, we have completed life cycle analysis, LCA as abbreviation, on all our latest range of Kavalan products. At Taya, we started this part of work probably about 18 months ago. If I'm wrong, Martin, correct me, but 18 months ago, we started it all out. And to meet the ISO requirements, we had to appoint a certified third-party organization to perform the analysis. So we appointed SGS, is formerly as Société Générale des Surveillance, or the French equivalent of General Society of Surveillance. So who are the world's leading inspection, verification, testing, and certification organization with its headquarters based in Switzerland. So on top of that, in order to help our industry to make a better understanding of PVC banners, we also performed the same analysis on PVC equivalent materials as well for direct comparison purposes. LCA is a great tool. For the detail of the LCA and its findings, my colleague Mark will be able to share more insights with us all. And he has been involved since the very beginning of the LCA planning and related research and analysis. So Mark will be the best one to share the insights with us.
Fantastic. And again, thanks for joining us, Mark, to talk about this. I think
it's a pleasure.
Good. And yeah, it's fantastic to get the lowdown on the LCA. But I think before we delve into the details, people may not be familiar with why it's such a great tool. So maybe you could talk about why the LCA is a great tool.
Yeah. Hi, Karis. Yeah, it's got quite a few features that is just perfect for analysing something that doesn't have anything definite. There's no sort of unit or number or something like that. And if you look at global warming or climate change and other things like that, you can't put a number to it. So it's very difficult to do a comparison between one product and another. So those comparisons, we can use the results of the LCA for direct comparisons with, say, other banner materials. And we've actually got a number now that we can say, well, you know what, this is our number this is their number. So it's scientifically based. It's based on tests and other analysis that's done. Also, the results have helped Taya focus its research efforts on the next generation of eco products. As Nova said earlier, Kavalan is part of the journey, but there's a lot more to come. I can't say too much, but I can tell there's a lot more to come. The final part of the LCA, it's about creating a growing culture of environmental awareness within Taya and our customers alike, so that everyone sort of joins in really and becomes very aware.
Fantastic. And you know, for many might not be familiar with what the actual life cycle analysis process is. Maybe just what is an LCA first?
Yeah, well, very briefly, because obviously it's quite a complex subject. The LCA assesses the environmental impact associated with the life cycle of a commercial product, process or service. It's a cradle-to-grave analysis, so every stage of a product's life cycle is assessed. If you consider any product that has had human intervention of any kind will have an impact on the environment. This means whatever the product, whether it's a chicken tikka masala or a top-of-the-range luxury car, it will have an impact on the environment throughout its entire life. So the life cycle of our banner encompasses three main stages or activities. There's an upstream stage, which involves raw material extraction of the fabric and coating materials, their processing and their final packaging before being dispatched to Taya. It may happen via another source, but it's essentially that. There's also a core stage, which is essentially transportation of the raw materials to our manufacturing sites. Taya has several. The energy and water usage and waste production of the banner materials manufacture, and the distribution of the rolls of banner to our customers. And downstream, there's an end-of-life transportation from the customer's final disposal. So if it's an exhibition, they'll throw it in a skip. The skip will take it to the local municipal waste dump, and then the municipal waste system will deal with it, and it'll either end up in incineration or landfill. As Nova said, there's not really much curbside banner recycling going on at the moment, so it'll almost certainly end up in the ground at some point in the future. So during the course of the LCA, all stages assessed against a total of 18 environmental impacts. And these impacts cover a whole range of things that are happening to our planet at the moment. So they cover toxic emissions to the air, ground and water, toxic effects of soil, water and air pollution. This is occurring on the land, in freshwater and marine ecosystems, and it's also having a big effect on the biodiversity within those areas. There's also other things, the toxic effects of soil, water and air pollution on human health and also on animal health, because humans and animals, we're pretty much intertwined. If you're a meat eater, then obviously it does depend on that. Anyway, there's also the scarcity effects of mineral and fossil fuel usage. This is a big one because all our products, at the end of the day, they come from the ground as raw materials. So these are big issues for us. There's also other toxic effects, carcinogenic effects and pollution effects on our health. As an asthma sufferer, it's a big problem for me. And then the final one is water consumption. So this is obviously a big concern, especially with the scarcity of water now currently beginning to happen around the planet.
So it's clearly a really comprehensive process, very thorough, lots of information for us to take in. Mark, is there a way that we can simplify these 18 impact categories that you've talked about?
Yeah, certainly. We've been, myself and the team in Shanghai, we've been looking around to try and find some organisation that has a way of unifying some of these impact categories. And the UNEP has specified 4 particular environmental areas of interest that cover a lot of these impact categories. So, for instance, climate change is obviously one of the 4. We think of climate change as greenhouse gas emissions. In fact, it's how the entire climate is changing, which is resulting in large-scale shifts in weather patterns and their effects on the entire planet. I think it's fair to say we're all witnessing increases in storm activity, floods, droughts, and rainfall, and all the rest, and the effects it's having on humanity and the planet as a whole. There's ecosystem and biodiversity decline. Pollution and climate change are affecting all our ecosystems, where plants, animals, and other organisms, as well as weather and landscape, work together to sustain life, and obviously we're having an impact on that. Clean energy, well, clean energy is energy that comes from renewable zero emission sources. I think most of us are pretty much aware of solar panels, wind turbines, hydro, and also nuclear as well, although nuclear is the least preferred option because the long-term degradation of the finished fuel rods when they come out of the reactors. But it doesn't put any emissions into the air, so it is a preferred option there. The final one is air pollution. I think we're all aware of air pollution. I certainly am with my asthma. The particles and gases from the pollution primarily come from vehicle exhausts, the mining, industrial, power and waste industries, as well as naturally produced pollutants as well, such as dust, pollen, mold spores, volcanoes and wildfires. So these are the four main areas of concern that the UNEP is really trying to address at the moment through various initiatives around the world.
Mm-hmm. And could we perhaps get a bit of insight into the results of the LCA?
Yes, certainly. We're just going to put up some slides, and if we have a look at this. So, as you can see, in addition to the entire Cavalan range, which is 12 products at the moment, and there's more to come, we've also submitted a number of PVC banner materials for comparison purposes. However, for the purpose of this presentation, we should just concentrate on one of our most popular outdoor materials, Cavalan Sunlight 300, and its PVC equivalent. We have reduced the quantity of impacts to match many of the UNEP environmental requirements. That's why here you only see 8 and not the 18 that we've actually performed on the LCA. Firstly, just briefly, the results are split. So to show the impact from the total material, which is both the fabric and the film together. So obviously the fabric material still has an impact on the environment because it's polyester. So there are also impacts from there and not just the film. However, straight away, you can see the impact, for instance, on global warming. 35% less CO2 equivalents, which is just for the whole material, and water consumption, for instance, is 44% less. But as numbers guys, we like to go a little bit deeper, and we noticed that if you split out the film and the fabric, just look at the film, you can see the massive amount of eco savings to be made on just the film alone. And that really separates Cavalan from its PVC equivalent. So for instance, again, if you look at global warming, there's a massive 59% reduction of CO2 equivalents from between Kavalan film and the PVC film. And the water consumption, well, you can see it's even greater savings of water there, 64%. So just by switching from PVC film to Kavalan film, you're already starting a journey of really cleaning up our fabrics and materials. Obviously, I'll probably let the cat out of the bag there that where we're next looking to save even more, to make even more eco savings there. But as you can see, it's really good news coming out.
Fantastic. And yeah, it looks like you've got some comparisons here. It'd be great to get an everyday idea that helps us visualize the true impact.
Yeah, I mean, for us, the research team, this was the fun part of the analysis. This is where we let our geeky side sort of take over, really. So if you look first, 1,000 square meters of Sunlight 300 would save as much CO2 equivalents as one economy seat between London and New York. So that's just 1,000 square meters of Sunlight 300, which is a pretty small quantity compared to what our customers usually buy. So that's a big impact there. Also, if you look, if the amount of PVC banners sold in Europe in 2018 was swapped out by Kavalan, by its Kavalan counterpart, it would save enough water to fill 1,750 Olympic-sized swimming pools, which is, I can't even begin to imagine how much water that is, but that's a lot of water. Yeah, so a colleague of mine who's in love with his 3 Series BMW in Shanghai, he's suggested that 1,000 square meters of Sunlight 300 would save enough fossil fuel to power a 3 Series BMW on a one-way trip between New York and Miami, that's quite a drive. Being a bit of a Trekkie, this one was a real eye-opener for me. If the amount of PVC banners sold in Europe in 2018 was swapped out by its Kavalan counterpart, it could save enough fossil fuel to power 75 Saturn V Apollo missions to the moon and back. If you've ever seen a Saturn V rocket, it's absolutely massive. It's bigger than anything we see today. It's over 100 meters tall. It's absolutely huge. So to think that just by switching from PVC to our material, you'd save 75 journeys of those to the moon. That's an incredible comparison, I think. Finally, we got a couple more. For this one, this one we had to triple check as the numbers were pretty astounding, actually. Just 1,000 square meters of Sunlight with 300 would save as much carcinogenic equivalents as 1.45 million packs of cigarettes. Again, we had to double check this, but that's absolutely true. That's the equivalent of 77 years of life. So if you've been, that's a huge amount of saving there from just 1,000 square meters. And finally, as an asthma sufferer, PM 2.5 is a real concern to me, especially in southern Taiwan during the winter months, where the effects of smog generated by Taiwan's coal-fired power stations are really strongly felt down here. 1,000 square meters of Sunlight, 300, would save enough PM 2.5 needed to extend the lives of 4,300 affected people by 2 years. So if those people were in an affected area for a long period of time, and we suddenly took them out of that area and put them in a clean area, over the course of a year, we would have increased their lifespan by 2 years. Pretty incredible, I think. Again, just on 1,000 square meters of Sunlight 300. So there it is. There's a few more comparisons if you want, but I think we'll call it a day on that.
Fantastic. Yeah, I mean, if only because we're about out of time. Otherwise, I'd love to hear more about the comparisons, because I feel like it really helps you visualize, just how much we can do by making these switches and making an environmental decision. So thank you so much for
You're welcome.
putting that in terms that perhaps people that aren't the number guys like me can understand and visualize. It's been a fantastic session. Thank you both so much for joining me and talking about Kavalan and talking about sustainable impact and also doing it in a way that helps us remember why we're making these decisions for the future of the planet. So Nova, thank you so much for being with us.
No, thank you for hosting this interesting session.
And thank you, Mark, as well, for taking us through the LCA findings.
My pleasure.
And thank you to everyone that joined us for this Future Print virtual conference session. And we've got more great sessions on the way, so make sure you catch those. And bye for now.
Cheers. Bye for now.